Chapter 2239 Hidden King. Bing Lihuan's pupils continued to dilate, her mind was in chaos, and her hands began to tremble uncontrollably. Arrow reversal. Facing the current situation, it is impossible to accurately deflect all attacks. But she had no choice but to activate her ability. Get out of here, everyone! Bing Lihuan roared and suddenly activated his ability. The counterattack was launched silently, as if it simply caused a change in the rules of the world. When those dozens of colorful black lights rushed towards her, they bloomed like flowers in the air, and then turned into a chaotic rain of light like a meteor shower. There was no pattern at all, and it was splashing everywhere. Inevitably, a large amount of torrents shot towards the direction where Bing Lihuan was. Bing Lihuan screamed, and the ability of Chattering Thoughts was activated, forming a wide-area telekinetic barrier in front of her. Boom, boom, boom. An explosion sounded, and the chaotic energy flows hit her mental shield, vibrating violently. Bing Lihuan was gasping for breath and had a splitting headache. At the moment, she was no longer able to perform accurate calculations. Seeing this, Da Vinci and Brian both had cunning smiles on their faces. Go on. Brian grinned, accelerated his attack, and continuously exerted gravity from various directions, or to be more precise, gravitational force, to influence Bing Lihuan's telekinetic field. Although gravity cannot destroy the telekinetic field, if the barrier formed by telekinesis becomes weak, Bing Lihuan himself will be attracted over. When her body becomes unstable, Professor Da Vinci's vector cannon will shoot over, followed by an endless vector torrent. Bing Lihuan has now completely lost the ability to calculate. The arrows are released indiscriminately, and she can only rely on the most basic telekinetic barrier to resist the detonated vector torrent. In this way, her advantage would be gone. In the repeated collisions, she gradually revealed her flaws. As long as she continued at this pace, Brian and Da Vinci would be able to wear her out sooner or later. But even so, it is still extremely difficult to kill Bing Lihuan. After all, a white bishop-level mutant with an ability index of 35,000 is not just anyone. In fact, now, as long as she chooses to escape, Da Vinci and Brian still have no good way to deal with her. But Bing Lihuan couldn't escape. Da Vinci and Brian were not in a hurry either. Bing Lihuan will not receive any reinforcements. Even at the palace, Yang Xinxin, Liang Yu, and Bam had arrived at this moment. Central City Area, Imperial Palace. Yang Xinxin, Liang Yu, and Bam walked along the wide street. The avenue is very wide, more than 100 meters wide. Not to mention for humans, even for lizard men, it is wide enough to accommodate more than a dozen cars running side by side. In the Central City Area, no one dared to approach, and soldiers armed with live ammunition blocked everything. Yang Xinxin raised her head. She was also wearing black armor, which was one level lower than Zhang Yi's demon armor and was made of the mecha materials of the upper demon god. Through the transparent blindfold, one can see that the entire periphery of the palace is covered by a powerful energy shield. A smile appeared on Yang Xinxin's lips. She had known this for a long time and was not surprised at all. Liang Yu and Bam, armed with weapons, stood guard on both sides of her like door gods. Yang Xinxin gestured to the two of them. Stay a little further away from me. Don't get too close. Liang Yu nodded. Although Bam felt a little strange, he still moved away for a distance. Yang Xinxin slowly opened her arms and held them up, and the dark light in her eyes lit up, as if the scorching sun was experiencing a solar eclipse, dark yet strangely bright. Come out, fallen puppet. As soon as she finished speaking, endless black smoke gushed out from her body and immediately surged into the sky. A terrifying aura enveloped the entire street. Liang Yu and Bam both widened their eyes, feeling a sense of crisis from the bottom of their hearts. Even those of Ypsilon level instinctively feared what was about to appear. Even though they knew that Yang Xinxin had no murderous intentions towards them, they felt as if she were a god who treated all living beings equally. Black clouds floated up along with her long hair, gathering into a huge cloud in the sky. A pair of large hands as white as jade suddenly emerged from the dark clouds, with strands of thin black silk threads wrapped around their fingertips. At the end of the thread, a huge fallen angel made up of broken flesh slowly hung down. Liang Yu was very clear about Yang Xinxin's abilities, as she had seen the fallen puppet many times. But this time, it was more real than the king's fallen angel puppet, as if it was not condensed by the power of rules, but a real living creature. Liang Yu's heart was greatly shocked. Compared to when she was in the Devil's Eye, Xinxin's abilities have become even stronger. Most of the world's understanding of the Tianhai City team focuses on Zhang Yi. Perhaps someone has studied Liu Karen, the super technology star. Others were studied as part of the team. However, Yang Xinxin is the most mysterious member of the team because she rarely takes part in the battle. However, there is a secret that only Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin know. Back then in Tianyu Palace at the last level, there were 2 knights who chose Yang Xinxin. In other words, in terms of talent, she is even better than Zhang Yi. She just has no interest. As long as she is willing, with her intelligence and talent, it will not be difficult for her to become stronger. Queen Mother of the West, Yang Xinxin, a rule-based ability user with an ability index of 32,000 points. The fallen puppet stood behind Yang Xinxin, with no expression on its head, which was made up of broken corpses. Yang Xinxin raised her hands, and the pair of jade-white hands in the sky also pulled the silk threads, and the body of the fallen puppet was controlled to move stiffly. An extremely huge black longbow appeared in the hands of the fallen angel puppet. Yang Xinxin made a gesture of drawing a bow and shooting an arrow, and the fallen angel puppet also pulled the black longbow hard. Ka-ka. The sound of a bowstring being tightened was heard, and a dark golden energy gathered on the longbow. A large amount of desire, power transformed into the power of rules, dotted like stars surrounding the sun and the moon. The bow of judgment, the arrow of the Hershers, possesses the terrifying ability to change the rules of the material world. The fallen puppet's fingers loosened in an instant, and the taut bowstring immediately released towards the sky with infinite power of rules. The dark golden arrow drew a perfect arc and headed straight for the palace. Chapter 22 40 Golden Rain. Above the sky, the dark golden arrows quickly split apart, and one arrow instantly turned into a dark golden rain of light all over the sky. Hundreds, thousands, billions. From one arrow, in less than a second, it turned into billions. The imperial capital's imperial guards and security forces immediately noticed something was wrong, and a loud shout echoed in the ears of every soldier. Enemy attack! All kinds of weapons were raised, and for a moment the entire area around the palace was filled with murderous aura. Faced with the endless rain of golden arrows, everyone was on high alert. Standing in front of the palace gate was a titan-like being wearing dark silver, heavy mechanical armor. The commander of the Imperial Guards, Ban Qi, held a huge, strangely shaped sword in each hand, standing in front of the palace gate like a door god. The dark blue long sword was almost as long as his body. It was not constructed like a human sword with a handle at one end, but instead had the handle in the middle and the crescent-shaped blade on the outside. Faced with these golden arrow rains of unknown origin, he concentrated his mind and calmed himself, leaping above the palace, hoping to use his body to block these attacks. No matter what, the royal family and nobles in the palace must not be harmed. The Hersher's arrow shot towards the energy shield protecting the palace, but encountered no hindrance and penetrated the shield directly. There was no energy collision, as if it passed through the air. This scene stunned all the Imperial Guards and Security Forces soldiers. They had never seen such a strange attack. But this moment of stagnation brought unimaginable consequences. The Hersher's arrow fell rapidly in a parabolic shape, and billions of dark golden arrows rained down, covering the entire surrounding area. Many soldiers didn't have time to react before they were hit directly by the dark golden arrows. Some soldiers reacted and immediately picked up their weapons to try to smash the arrows. But no matter whether it was laser weapons or cold weapons, their attacks could not destroy the dark golden arrows. It was like air. No, even air has particles, but the Hersher's arrow is something truly illusory. even more illusory than telekinesis. Golden arrows hit a large number of soldiers. They were extremely frightened at first, but soon this emotion turned into astonishment. Because many soldiers were surprised to find that after these dark golden arrows shot into their bodies, they did not even break their armor, but just merged into their bodies. There was no pain. The armor synchronized with their bodies in real time, displaying various vital signs, and there were no unusual changes. What on earth is going on? Many soldiers' faces were filled with confusion. The commander of the Imperial Guards, Ban Shi, realized what it was. Facing the massive dark golden rain of arrows from above, he suddenly swung the crescent-shaped sword in his hand, and a surging deep blue sword light rushed up as if to cut through the entire sky. However, all the dark golden arrows that touched it were not damaged at all and continued to shoot towards his direction with undiminished momentum. Are these arrows with rule-based abilities? Ban Shi reacted quickly and moved away, giving the arrows no chance to hit him. Bang Qi is the second most powerful master in the central city after Bang Lihuan. His reaction speed is extremely fast, and those arrows cannot hit his body at all. He also immediately reminded everyone, there must be some kind of rules behind these arrows. Don't try to break or defend against them. Avoid them. The speed of the rain of arrows was not fast, and the speed of arrows has always been Yang Xinxin's weak point. But she never felt that this was a trouble. Instead, she felt very happy, because being too invincible would only make her feel bored. What she wants is the pleasure of using her powerful brain power and ruthless IQ to crush the enemy. For example, right now, the speed of the rain of arrows falling from the sky was indeed not fast, but there were enough of them. Thousands of Imperial Guards, including the Imperial capital's security forces, gathered around the palace, making it very difficult to escape at this time. The density of people is too high, and they interfere with each other. Then a dense rain of arrows fell, and a large number of soldiers were directly hit by the Hersher's arrows. There was no pain, no death, as if nothing had happened. The arrow not only hit the soldiers on guard outside, but also penetrated the palace as if it were nothing, directly hitting the servants, maids, and many members of the royal family serving in the palace. Even the meeting room where Emperor Ce was meeting with many ministers was shot with these arrows, which frightened the high-ranking officials to the point of falling to the ground. Many people kicked over the chairs and fell to the ground in panic. When they were really facing death, they were instinctively afraid. Ce never dreamed that the enemy's attack would actually reach the palace so quickly. However, just when some arrows were about to hit him, he suddenly showed extremely agile movements, flipped over from the throne, and dodged a bunch of arrows. As a member of the royal family of the Wulwan Empire, Ce is more than just a person with strong political skills. Although his ability index does not reach the 5th level, which is what humans call the Ypsilon level. However, from childhood to adulthood, the royal family will give every heir extremely strict training, including combat training. Therefore, Ce himself also possesses the combat level of a top-level Delta alien. Seeing that even the high-level conference room was in chaos, Ce's eyes were filled with grief and helplessness. The Wulwan Empire had existed for many years and had experienced many major crises, but he had never imagined that he would experience such a thing during his tenure. He stroked the ring on his left hand, but was not in a hurry to carry out a destructive plan that would result in mutual destruction. Hope has not been completely lost. Marshal Zhenglu is still fighting. Moreover, as the emperor of the Wulwan Empire, he is not so easy to be defeated. Don't think that the royal family can be intimidated so easily. Ce dodged the regular arrows very skillfully and no longer cared about the ministers who were screaming in fear. He left the meeting room under the escort of the guards and walked towards the depths of the palace. At this time, the Imperial Guards and security forces had already discovered the presence of Yang Xinxin and the other two. It would be better to say that from the very beginning, they did not deliberately hide their existence. Ban Shi held 2 crescent blades in his hands, his eyes filled with extreme hatred as he coldly issued the order to kill. Kill them all. A large number of soldiers roared and raised the laser weapons in their hands. Around the palace, Huge mechanical war beasts and combat spaceships appeared one after another, forming a seemingly indestructible line of defense in an instant. Chapter 2241. One arrow destroys the Imperial City. A dense rain of lasers shot towards the direction of the three people. Yang Xinshin stood there without moving. Bam! The Snow Mithria from the southwest region took out a long alloy whip from his waist and stepped forward. She exhaled lightly, and a long, cold white smoke came out. The white smoke, which seemed to have no lethality, spread out, and the entire street was quickly frozen. A thick layer of frost also appeared on Bam's body, and his hair, which was tied into a thick whip, turned white. She waved the long whip in her hand, and the whip began to spin in circles, soon forming a raging ice and snow storm. The lasers fired by the army were bombarded in the huge ice and snow storm and were unable to break through their defenses. Banshee was not surprised by this, but he still felt a little solemn. Anyone who can kill his way here must possess the strength of a fifth-level life form. News from the military had already arrived, and they were under attack from powerful invaders. So Bang knew that there would be a battle in the palace. "Continue," he said coldly. The main guns of the powerful mechanical war beasts and combat spacecraft were turned on, and increasingly terrifying energy cannons were concentratedly fired at Bam. Bam snorted coldly and swung the whip in his hand suddenly. The sound of wind was like the roar of gods. Then a huge storm that could cover an area of 10 kilometers, wrapped in a terrifying cold current, rushed directly towards the battle formation of the Imperial Guards. In front of high-level aliens, even those at the White Chariot level are like gods. There are not many weapons in this world that can threaten their lives. Even the high-tech weapons of the Wulwan Empire cannot do that. The storm gathered and directly submerged those terrifying energy weapons, and even the huge mechanical war beasts were thrown out like earthworms. Banshee roared, "Anyone who dares to invade the capital of the Wulwan Empire will be killed without mercy." He descended from the sky, the crescent blade in his hand slashing down with all his might. The huge, deep blue blade blazed fiercely, splitting Bam's ice storm in two. He no longer had the momentum he had at the beginning. When Bam saw this scene, he immediately clenched the whip in his hand, with an expression of unwillingness on his face. But Yang Xinshin grabbed her thick wrist. "Let's leave this person to Teacher Liang."
Her tone was very calm.
When Bam heard it, he thought of the instructions given by the Undertaker before he came here, and immediately suppressed his inner fighting spirit, nodded, and stepped back. Banshee, the commander of the Imperial Guard, is known as the immortal shield wall of the Imperial Palace. "Teacher Liang, go and tear down this wall," Yang Xinshin said lightly. "Everything is calculated, including Bunch's presence." Bang was responsible for clearing out the other Imperial Guards and mechanical armed forces, while Liang Yu dealt with Banshee. As for Yang Xinshin, she is responsible for taking the lead. The commander of the Imperial Guards, Banshee, has an ability index of 28,000 points and is a user of the enhancement system. Nine Heaven's mysterious lady, Liang Yu, with a supernatural power index of 25,000 points, is a user with enhancement abilities. Liang Yu always seems to have to deal with people whose supernatural power index is higher than hers. This is not because Yang Xinshin is deliberately giving her a difficult problem. It is because of Liang Yu's powerful martial arts ability engraved in her bones and the exoskeleton armor made for her by Liu Karen, which can completely eliminate the gap in ability index between her and Banshee. No, it's not just erasure, but it is much better. Liang Yu nodded and reached out to take out two weapons from the weapon box behind him. Two curved hooks. The opponent's weapons are crescent moon swords, so she also uses two-handed weapons to fight the enemy. The farewell hook is a strange weapon that can control the opponent's weapon and even take away the knife. This is a good weapon for Liang Yu to demonstrate his powerful martial arts. Bam stood on the side, using his ability to restrain the entire Imperial army. Liang Yu held the farewell hook in both hands and walked forward step by step. With every step she took, her own energy became 3 times stronger. From the acupoints in her body, The martial arts master's chi began to flow out, but it wrapped around her body and did not dissipate. The power of the energy formed a special field. Even if some soldiers wanted to attack Liang Yu, they could not even break through Liang Yu's protective energy. Qi is a completely different kind of power from supernatural powers, but its source is inseparable from the source of supernatural powers, telekinesis. Martial artists who practice internal energy and Qigong rely on meditation to form a special Qi in their bodies that is under their own control. To put it bluntly, this is a kind of life force. Liang Yu held the farewell hook in both hands, but his eyes were fixed on Bangqi, the commander of the Imperial Guards who was guarding in front of the gate. This is an invitation to fight. Bangqi sensed Liang Yu's intention, but he just frowned slightly and did not rush forward blindly. Because his duty was to guard the safety of the palace, not to fight with others. But now, he can't just avoid fighting if he wants to. There was only one Ypsilon on this side, but on the opposite side, there were 3 people. Bang used a long whip to create a blizzard in the sky, directly attacking the energy shield in front. The long whip seemed soft, but it could extend more than 50 meters. If he was not the most outstanding herdsman, he would definitely not be able to control such a long whip, and when the long whip hit the energy shield, it also erupted with terrifying energy fluctuations. This commotion shocked the Imperial Guards in the rear, and they couldn't help but gasp. They have no way to retreat. They must fight to the death. But at this time, the second Ypsilon took action. Liang Yu's speed began to increase. She turned into a black shadow and swung the farewell hook in her hand suddenly. A huge force came towards the energy shield like a black curtain wall. Boom! The black chariot-level attack power made the energy shield vibrate even more violently. Yang Xinxin let her hands hang by her side, with no intention of taking action for the time being. This is because she is still waiting. The royal family of the Wulwan Empire must have other powerful backup forces. Otherwise, Emperor Ce would have escaped from here with his men long ago. Lu Karen is above the sky and can grasp all the movements here. They can't escape. Liang Yu and Bam joined forces. The energy shield was crumbling, and the attacks of the Imperial Guards were like a drop in the ocean, unable to hurt the 3 Ypsilons at all. Commander, if you keep going like this, the shield won't hold. A general said to Bunch. It's not that their energy shield is weak, but the energy system of the entire Wulwan Empire. Most of the power is used to support the iron curtain of the sky outside the country, and it has been drained by Zhonglu. In addition, the group of burrowing beasts led by the giant Totoro have been causing damage underground, resulting in a lack of energy supply. The palace's energy shield is also in danger. With me, we'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.